Hi there, everybody. So we're here for our chat with our Q&A and to see what's going on for topics of this week and anything that's of interest to me and who is the winner of our Facade Game uh, Contest. So I've got a lot of things I want to cover and a few topics I'm just kind of generally want to uh, talk about and to see what's going on. So, yeah, I haven't done one of these in a while. And as you can kind of see, my game backdrop has gotten a little crazier. I've picked up a lot more games recently in the last months. I had a lady that was attached to the Vintage Board Game Forum on Facebook, and we were talking for a little while. And she was clearing out a whole bunch of board games she picked up over the years. And in talking with her, apparently she had a storage locker at one time, and she used to go to garage sales all over Los Angeles buying board games for their kids. And they moved out and have no more interest for them, and they had to get rid of their storage locker. And so they just kind of decided to get rid of them. So I go down to LA every so often, and I worked out a deal with her. So I bought 14 board games off of her in February for about 125 bucks. Some of those games are from the 80s, some of them are earlier. There's a few other ones I tried to get from her that were already snagged by other people. So um, I have added a whole lot of board games to the uh, closet collection, as it were. And a couple of them I've got here, which includes the review and how to play, which I will be doing next week. So this episode's already done and will be airing this next week. So we're going to be doing a review on how to play on Pizza Party, the pizza building game from Parker Brothers. I think this game's circa what year was 1987. So this is one game that we're touching on, and I'm looking forward to playing this with my game group and bring you live playthroughs of it. Um, we also are bringing a lot of other things. I picked up a newer game, which there's going to be a unboxing on this game coming soon, and there's going to be a review and how to play on this particular game at some point. So this is the campfire building game of Tinder Blocks. Tinder Blocks is a game where you have to build campfires, but the thing with this game is you have to use tweezers to do it. So you want to make sure you don't want to touch the logs, you don't want to touch the fire, because you do have to build campfires as you go. And there are a couple of different expansions for this game where you can play with marshmallows, where you got to keep them away from the fire so they don't get destroyed or burnt. So, oh, hey, Craig, glad to see you. Yeah, like I said, Tinder Blocks is a fun game. There's a playthrough on this at some point. Um, and I have several other games which I will be revealing through the course of this evening. But first thing I wanted to talk to you about is the facade drawing. The facade drawing is something that I was able to work out with Travis, the head designer, creator, CEO of Facade Games. They sent us some games to take a look at and play through, which we did. And again, the wonderful products that they have are Salem 1692 for the Salem witch trials. You have Tortuga 1667. You have Deadwood 1876, the Wild West game, and you have Bristol 1350. So all of these games are fantastic games. They did recently put out their Kickstarter for Hollywood 1947, which you still can get on the back end of that, which I would recommend doing because it has a great theme to it of patriots and communists and the film industry, and it has some really nice posters for films. They come with 3D printing bases, so you can actually put the posters on. So it's something that I would recommend you look at. But everyone that put in a comment on any one of the Facade games, the 2 playthroughs that I was able to release, and the 3 review how to plays that I was able to release, any of the comments on there, I did take all the names out of there and put them in this little drawing bucket here. So I put this together this afternoon. I still haven't looked at it. I have no idea who's going to win this, so I kind of wanted it to be a surprise, especially one of the reasons why I wanted to do this stream. So let's get this out of the way first. So the winner of our Facade game session is wow. Mr. Craig Lloyd is the winner of this wonderful contest. So, Craig, I guess you're here on the wonderful stream, which kind of makes it a little easier on my case. So, which one of their 4 games would you be interested in playing? Let me know in the comments, and shoot me offline for your mailing address, and someone will mail you one of these games, whichever one you want, of the one of the 4 of your choice. So, congratulations, Craig. Yeah, that was kind of neat. It's nice having an awesome subscriber to the channel who's also here at the live stream and wins a game. It's kind of neat. Tortuga 1667, awesome. I always enjoy pirate themed games. I think they're a little underrated as games go. I'm a fan of them. As you can see behind me, I have the Broadsides and Boarding Parties Game Master game from Milton Bradley from the 80s, which I love. And I think Tortuga is a pretty like step kid to that game. So, yeah, Tortuga 1667. I think that is a great choice, Craig. And just send me your contact information through email, which if you go on to the page and there's a section on there to for business email, just shoot me an email and I will send it over to Travis and get your game rolling out to you. So again, like I said, congratulations. Facade, I love their products. I think they're great products, and I'm really glad that Facade and Travis, the owner, was able to work to bring this, because this is a entire contest that I put together, and they just supported it. So I'm happy that Facade was able to do that. And again, Craig, congratulations. So, a couple other things that we've got going on. Another game that I picked up in Los Angeles from that wonderful lady is a game that I could not pass up because I thought it was so bizarrely weird, and leave it to Parker Brothers to create a very weird game. Dealer's Choice, the wonderful wheeling and dealing car game for used car lots. I think that this is such a bizarre game. It comes with blue books. It has, let me show you a couple pieces of this thing. It has official blue books. It comes with a tray where you can buy insurance policies and has money and everything in it. But one of the things that kind of tripped me out on this game because you wheel and deal on older vehicles. It's kind of hard to see on here, but you have like a 1935 Duesenberg, a checkered cab, a 71 Cadillac. But for whatever reason, they also included a Indianapolis race car, and let's see, where is it? They also included some really bizarre cars from the 20s and 30s, and a tank. So apparently, this used car lot also has military equipment. So I think it's such a bizarre game that I couldn't pass up on it. And it has these tracks that you can get for denominations on vehicles. So I'm looking forward to bringing this one to the table at some point soon. But yeah, like I said, I couldn't pass up on this wonderful game, which I brought this back from Los Angeles. And yeah, I brought back a whole carload of games, and um, some of them were neat. Some of them I brought back Alters from Waddington. If you don't know Waddington Games, Waddington is a British game company. They they're kind of like Milton Bradley, but for England. Unfortunately, Hasbro bought them out as well. But ulcers, you have to go through and build a company, but you don't have enough employees to do it. So you have to go and steal other companies' employees. So all the players are sitting there trying to hijack salespeople, secretaries, and corporate vice presidents. So it's a weird game from England that I thought was kind of neat. And I also picked up the main game out of that entire stack that I wanted was Transogram's Harry Mason Case of the Missing Suspect game, which I couldn't pass this thing up because it's such a bizarre game. This is from 1959, I believe, and it has a bunch of features to it. I'm really looking forward to bringing this to the table. I just need to get some time to do it. And I'm glad, Craig. I haven't played Ulcers yet. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the Perry Mason Missing Suspect game. I know it's kind of a reprint off of Dragnet, I believe, but they kind of rethemed it with Perry Mason, so I'm kind of interested to see how this game goes. But yeah, I picked up a whole bunch of games. So I've got a lot of stuff coming, especially on the channel in the next several weeks. I'm planning on dropping out a video, a review, and a play every Sunday, a playthrough every Monday, and a unboxing video every Tuesday. So I've got the next several weeks already set, ready to roll. Like I said, Pizza Party, the review and how to play is coming out next week. And you may have seen I've already dropped out the wonderful Waddington game of Bombshell. So that particular game is a game that I feel that doesn't get a lot of airtime. So I want to take a second and re-show you the commercial from 1981 from this wonderful band game. So this is my sponsor commercial for this particular live stream. And we'll be right back after a brief message from the sponsor.
Bombshell takes daring, skill, nerves of steel. At any moment, the bomb could go off.
Bombshell!
Oh, no. It's Grandpa's turn. Here we go. Easy does it.
Bombshell!
New Bombshell from Waddington's. It's hilarious.
Well, that was fun. So I'm always a fan of Waddington games. I think they're bizarre and interesting. So I just love the old commercials, especially for Bombshell, which is a game that got pulled off the shelves and has never been reprinted. I think it is a great game. It's kind of like hot potato, but you're playing with bomb disposal officers. So it has this nice, neat feature to it. Um, the playthrough of that particular game is actually airing tomorrow with my game group. So I invite you to check that out at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. So you'll see a playthrough of Bombshell. Like I said, it's a very rare board game, but I'm really glad I was able to bring it to the channel, and I had a great time playing. So let's see. Um, let's see. It's yeah, Transagam games. They're interesting. They're really kind of out there on the spectrum. I wish I had more of them, but they're pricey and hard as heck to get. I'm really glad I was able to get the Perry Mason game. There's a lot of interesting Transagram games. Popeye the Sailor Man. There's a whole bunch of them. I feel that they're um, interesting games, and they don't get enough attention, especially since the entire company is just no longer around. Unfortunately, with Hasbro kind of gobbling up the entire market of everything, um, a lot of that stuff just kind of falls along the wayside, and I think that's a shame. So I'm really looking forward to bringing Perry Mason to the table, and I'm hoping to find more Transagram games. But like I said, they're hard to get a hold of. So a couple other things that I wanted to talk about. So we've got. Let's go take a look at a couple of things. So here we go. So a video series that was brought to my attention is a wargaming channel called No Enemies Here that airs in Canada. Dan, who runs the channel, is a very friendly, interesting guy. He loves war games. He started talking about this channel, the Gamer's Closet, weeks and weeks and weeks ago. And as he calls it, the fun channel, which I can't say that he's wrong. I have fun doing this. I'm really glad that he's able to kind of spread the gaming love around to his community, which I mean, he does have a lot more subscribers than I do, but I'm really glad he's able to help share this. So if you're interested in wargaming, and he covers a lot of different channels, as he calls it, the wargaming news. It's something that I wanted to bring up, which I think New Enemies Here is a great channel, and I'd recommend checking it out. A couple other things that I always do enjoy. I'm a fan of Little Wars TV. Little Wars TV, they are tabletop gamers. They recently dropped out a entire tabletop war game of the Alamo, where they built the entire Alamo and had Davy Crockett, everybody on there went through the Mexican army attacking the Alamo, and they always bring out East Coast gaming conventions, which I think are fun and interesting. And I really wish I had the time that a lot of these guys have, with especially with painting and everything they're doing. I fortunately don't. And as being on the West Coast, we have PacificCon, which is in Labor Day weekend every year in Santa Clara out here, but there's not a lot of interesting wargaming conventions. Don't be wrong. There's other gaming conventions, which I am attending KublaCon in May, the last weekend in May, which is at the Hyatt Regency Hotel just outside of the San Francisco airport. Like I said, it's the last weekend of May, so I am attending that and looking forward to that convention. And it's really good that finally all of the COVID requirements have kind of not as rigid as they were, because a lot of the conventions out here, especially in the Bay Area counties, they were really taking their time to some mask requirements and things like that. They still require you to show a vaccination card, but they're not enforcing the mask requirements, which were kind of a pain because they wouldn't let you eat in places, you couldn't have food or drink anywhere near you, and it really made a detrimental time to long gaming sessions. So they finally loosened that. So I'm looking forward to actually start attending conventions again, especially out here, and plan on bringing you some wonderful video from KublaCon this year. But like I said, Little Wars TV, I'm a big fan of them. I think they always have a interesting topic, and their figures look great. I really wish, like I said, I had the time to paint figures like this. I don't, but I appreciate for what they do on those figures, and I enjoy looking at them. I really do. So I think Little Wars TV is a great option, especially in the wargaming community, and uh, that is one of the uh, wonderful channels that's out there. Another thing that came up that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention, it looks like they're actually making a sequel to The Exorcist, which first my question was why? And if you haven't seen The Exorcist, first off, I don't know what rock you've been living under. That movie came out in 1973. But the reason I bring it up on the gaming channel is it's a game that everybody should remember that um, kind of vilified this. Everybody remembers the Ouija board. The Ouija board is the reason that the plot of that movie, where the little girl that played it got taken over and went evil, and the Ouija board has gone crazy since. And then you had the wonderful satanic panic of the 70s and 80s that just kind of pushed that board game off the deep end. And still to this day, I have people that comment on it. Oh, you shouldn't have that. It's evil. Like, it's a board game that was created in the 1880s. So I think it's just a board. So I will be doing a video on it that's coming out at Halloween sometime. But like I said, I wanted to bring up the fact that they're remaking The Exorcist, or should I say it's a sequel to The Exorcist? I don't know, either way. But it brings up the Ouija board back to the mainstream, and Hasbro owns the Ouija board. So I'm expecting them around October when this movie gets released. They're going to be everywhere again. So everyone's going to start talking about the Ouija board again. So it's related to board gaming, so I felt I should bring it up because it's so bizarrely weird. But it's, like I said, it's just weird. So, oh, your wife won't let you have that in the house? Yeah, that's it happens a lot. I've heard stories from people. Uh, my brother kind of went off on the Ouija board a little bit. Um, it's a game, but I don't know. It has this weird, dark, sordid past to it. It's kind of like I said. It came out of the Exorcist drove that game off the deep end, and the Satanic Panic in the '80s just kind of rolled it on into the '90s. So you have decades of people just hating this game because of how evil it is. So the rules to play this game are half a page. It's it's nothing, honestly, in my opinion. And I don't really believe the evil of the Ouija board. It's just kind of a game that came out of 1880s spiritualism that was a big thing in America. And yeah, it developed its own weird following. So I am looking forward to actually doing that because I like delving into history, especially on board games. And the Ouija board has some really good history. A guy created it with a board and some a piece of wood and became a successful multi-millionaire and sold his company off, and it's jumped through a couple of companies, and then eventually Hasbro, the Death Star of the gaming industry, owns it along with everything else. So, but I don't know. I am open up. Anybody wants to ask any questions or bring up anything topic wise. I'm more than happy to talk about any topic you guys want. I plan on live streaming for a little while. So, like I said, I'm a fan of many board games. As you can see, I've got a bunch of Avalon Hill behind me. I'm a big fan of old Avalon Hill games. Before my dad passed, I had conversations with him about playing Africa Core, which he loved, which I finally found a copy of it, which I'm looking forward to actually doing a review on how to play more Avalon Hill material. I'm a fan of the old Milton Bradley stuff. I'm a fan of some of the darker, more multiplayer games, especially like Bristol and a lot of the Facade games. I'm a fan of all those games, and I think that they're kind of an out of the box type of game, which I feel is a untapped market as it is. I mean, because they have a darker theme to them. They're not as cheery as a lot of the TV show board games from the '60s. Because like every TV show had a board game. The I Dream of Jeannie board game, Hogan's Hero, the board game. All of the cartoons had a board game. So you have Richie Rich and all the Hanna-Barbera characters. Everybody has a board game, but most of those board games are all roll, spin, and movement games, and very tedious after a little while. They're designed for 7 and 8-year-olds. So I think board gaming are a lot of the newer games. I think are more of interest. What are some of the other board games you've picked up? Well, I picked up a bunch, but I do have another game here next to me that I did pick up. So my mom told me a story when she was a kid that she played a board game that was like Clue, but wasn't Clue. And it took several conversations with her to try to figure out what the heck game she was talking about. It was like in a green box, and they had bottles of poison, and you had to deal with people running all over a house, and you could go outside, and that's not Clue in any way, shape, or form. And I finally found it. So this particular game is called Mr. Ree. Your Mr. Ree is a detective, and you are a person that's living in Aunt Claire's house, and you're trying to murder her. So it comes with like Clue-like items. Like Clue has a revolver and a knife and a rope and lead pipe. This one comes with a knife, a gun, a bottle of poison, and an axe. And you have to try to kill Aunt Clara. So this game predates Clue. This is from 1942 or 46 or something like that. They printed this game up until 1965. But the original version of this game came out in like 1937. It cost me a little bit to get a good copy of this game. And as you can see, it's kind of thrashed a little bit. But this game is really, really crazy. And I picked up a copy of this game especially because my mom kept talking about it. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to actually sitting down and playing this on my next game session with my friends. So it comes with, I'll show you a few pieces out of this. So it has this weird house board. It's not like Clue, but it has this old kind of look to it. So you can go outside to the bird bath, and you can go out to the wood shed, and you can bounce around this house. and it comes with, like I said, all of these little metal pieces, and they're really teeny. So you have, let me see if I can show you these. No, that's bad. Let's see. And a lot of the copies I found online were missing a lot of the metal pieces. So you have the little pistol, you have the little knife. They don't show up very well on here. You've got the little axe that comes with it. And then you have a little bottle of poison that actually has the little skull and crossbone poison on it. Like I said, it's a game I had never heard of, and it came way before Clue. And oh, hey, Josh, glad to see you on. So yeah, I picked up this game recently. I'm really glad I did, and I'm looking forward to giving my mom a flashback. My mom is she's gonna be 81 this year, so she had this game as a kid. Like I said, she used to play it with, as she called it, kids down the road because she lived on a farm out in the middle of Oregon, from the 40s. So I'm really glad I was able to pick this game up and gave my mom a good flashback. So, but yeah, I picked this up recently. Trying to think what else I picked up. I picked up a bunch more of the American Heritage board games, kind of like Dogfight and Hit the Beach. Picked up, um, I picked up the Ideals Man from Uncle board game, so I'm looking forward to playing that. So um, I'm always looking for vintage games. I'm trying to be a little pickier on the ones I pick up, because I don't like having to find parts for them, because you can't find parts for them. Finding a part for a board game from the 50s or 60s is astronomically hard unless it has a really good following or multiple printings. Um, I bought the Walt Disney Adventureland board game from a store about a year ago, and luckily enough, it was missing all the ships. There was one person on all of eBay that had a set of ships for sale for that game, and those were the only pieces I was missing. So I went and scooped those things up. Paid a little more than I should have for them, but that way I have a complete board game. But yeah, finding parts for board games that are from the 50s and 60s is extremely rare. So I try not to do that. But yeah, that's kind of picked up. I picked up a lot of newer games recently. I've picked up a British game called Imposter. I picked up the final expansion for second edition Mansions of Madness that I was missing, which I'm hoping to be able to bring those playthroughs at some point, because I can play those solo. And I plan on doing a lot more solo playthroughs, especially I got Horrified, the monster hunting game, which I plan on doing solo playthroughs of Horrified, probably in the summer, if not around Halloween. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm just trying to get a few logistics put together for that. But I'm looking forward to doing a lot of projects, especially this year. Is there a Holy Grail board game that you've been hunting for? Well, I've got a couple of them that over the years that I was hunting for. Broadsides, that right here is one that I spent a couple of years looking for. Bombshell, like I said, is a game that is extremely rare, and it cost me a arm and a leg in shipping from London to get it. Um, but the games that I'm still looking for, let's see, I'm looking for Tornado Rex, which is a hard to get game. You have to climb a hill and you can come out and kind of mess up your players. I'm looking for a game that I had as a kid that got unfortunately destroyed by my childhood. There's a game that got put out by Mattel. It's called Rally Cry, where you have to get soldiers to climb up a hill and you have to actually move. And it has I'm sorry, it's not Mattel. I think it's Tiger. Yeah, it's a Tiger game. It's like an electronic Tiger game where you have soldiers in different colors. And you have to scale a hill. I'm trying to find a copy of that, which is astronomically hard. Then, of course, the standard doozy hard ones, kind of like the Dark Tower, which is a pain to find. Um, I'm looking for Haunted House by Ideal. Yeah, that's on the list. Uh, there's also Ghost from Ideal. That's on there because all the pieces glow in the dark and they're kind of a pain. Here's a game I picked up from LA, and it was on my kind of looking for list, which is this is a game I was looking for a while, which is the Captain Crunch Island Adventure game. I remember this game because it had an advertisement on the cereals. I ate a lot of Captain Crunch as a kid, but all of the pieces were released as prizes in the cereal, and I had one of them as a kid and never had anything else. And I scooped this up in that batch of games I brought back from Los Angeles. And for whatever reason, the two soggies, they glow in the dark. I don't know why. But you have to go and stop the soggies and the Sogmaster with your crew. But your playing pieces are Captain Crunch with the soggies and the Sogmaster for whatever reason. So it's kind of like crazy Candyland. But it's a game that came out in the 80s. It didn't do very well. It didn't get printed very well. It was created by Warren Games, which I've never heard of anything else from them. And like I said, it's their weird island adventure game. So it's a game I was looking for a long time, and I'm really glad I scooped this thing up. But I'm looking for parts for some games that I've got. But I've got, like I said, I'm looking for older Ideal games and older, um, like I said, some of the others. But like Tornado Rex, I'm looking for. Um, I've got a few of the hard ones. I have a copy of Fireball Island I got as a kid, and I'm the original owner of it from '86, so I still have the original Fireball Island. I scooped up the Omega Virus. I have a copy of it from the pit from the '80s that I was the original owner on that I got for Christmas. Um, so I enjoy those, and yeah. But the Haunted House is a game that I've always wanted to play, but I've never been able to see a physical copy of it. Which I hope you correct me one day. But yeah, I agree. That's on my list of my top 10. I'm trying to find. Bombshell was on the top of that list for a long, long time, and I'm glad I was able to finally scoop that thing up because that game is a pain to find, especially since it got removed from shelves in '81. So it was only out in the public market for like 6 months, I think. I had the original Fireball Island, but I think Paris got rid of it 20 years ago. Yeah, it's the problem with that game is it's bulky. It's a solid plastic board, and so the board takes up the entire box. I mean, it's a big box. The reason it survived my childhood is I had a closet in my room, and it had a whole bunch of shirts hanging on it. And it got put behind all the shirts as a kid, and it kind of got left there for a decade. And when I moved out, I found it, so I snagged it and took it with me. Um, but yeah, I'm really glad I did. Um, there, I gotta It's on a special shelf in my room. But yeah, I always kind of felt sorry for this guy. You turn your head over and see a giant fireball coming at you. But yeah, I'm really glad I've got this game. Um, I know you can get replacement pieces for it online. They do 3D printing on some of that stuff, but they're for whatever reason they're super crazy expensive. I never had Crossfire as a kid. I remember the seizure-inducing commercial for that game, but I never had a copy of it. Um, I don't think my parents were wild about all the marbles, so getting everywhere. Especially after with my childhood, my brother and I we got into Civil War soldiers like in 172nd. So we used to go buy like sheets of Revell Civil War soldiers, cavalry infantry. We had chunks of leftover concrete. We took Imperial margarine containers and my mom's aluminum foil and all of her toothpicks, and used to make Civil War forts out of Elmer's glue and fencing and ironclads out of margarine containers. Yeah, my mom wasn't wild about a lot of that, especially stepping on toothpicks in your bare feet. Yeah, that wasn't so nice. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't have Crossfire. I had a bunch of other games, but not yeah, I didn't have Crossfire. I had Fireball Island, It for the Pit, um, the Jurassic Park game from '91 or '93, whenever the movie came out. I got a copy of that. It was good for about 20 minutes of entertainment. Hungry Hungry Hippos was better. Uh, Hungry Hungry Hippos is all right. It gets tedious in my opinion. At least with Fireball, that game is. I mean, it's a race, but once somebody gets that gem, it's a cutthroat death battle the entire rest of the way of the board. So, my mother-in-law is not a gamer, and I got her to sit down and play Fireball Island, and she loves Fireball Island. I got my brother-in-law, who's not a gamer, to sit down and play Fireball Island. Loves Fireball Island, and I got her to play some other games. I got her to Parker Brothers Landslide, the political game where you have to run for president. I got them to play that. They love that. Um, but yeah, Fireball always has a special place in my heart. It's a game I don't think I'll ever get rid of. I've played the new one, which I'm not a big fan of the new one. I think the original one is better. It's more streamlined, but I think it's a pretty good game. So, um, let's see here. Yeah, I think Fireball Island is great for anyone. Yeah, I enjoy it. I happen to really love board games and happy memories of playing them in the '70s. Yeah, I grew up in the early '80s. But the cool part about that was I used to do a lot of garage sailing with my mom, flea markets with my dad. So all of those older games from the '60s and '70s used to find them at garage sales at flea markets. So I played a lot of those games as a kid in the early '80s. So uh, the really early '80s, back when there was TV and there wasn't a lot to do. We still played outside before all the crazy video games. Um, my dad had a push down like tape recorder VCR we used to play on for VHS tapes. Um, I grew up probably about when I was 8 or 9. My dad got a Commodore 64 from my uncle, so I used to play the Commodore a lot. So other than that, yeah, I played board game like old board games. I did a lot of reading, so I was kind of on the end of the outside playing. So I played a lot of board games and stuff like that. So, unlike some of the other people I know, like some of my younger friends and my wife, they're a little younger, so they still have that console era '80s stuff where they played stuff like that indoors, which I didn't do. So I have fond memories of playing board games. I played, a good example of that was my brother and I played Axis and Allies, the original one from or something like that, from the Game Master series games. We played Axis and Allies across an entire summer. So that was a good time. Conquest of the Empire, we played that one as well, which I still have all those copies. Um, yeah, I mean, I got into video games a little bit, but that was from the Commodore. But I got into a lot of the SSI military base hex based games. They were kind of like Avalon Hill games, but digital. So you could do a lot of the same thing, which I think I still have a few of those floating around in here somewhere. But yeah, I was always a big fan of Avalon Hill games, and like I said, SSI and the Commodore kind of took it to that next level, so you could keep playing. You could keep playing games, and they had this really nice novel thing where you could actually get blank floppy disks and save your game onto a floppy disk. So you could always just come back to it, so you never had to worry about losing pieces or making messes. That was kind of where it evolved into for me a little bit. I got into PC gaming a lot in the '90s and early 2000s, but I kind of retroed back into um, into board games over the years, especially after about 2004. I started going to DunderCon in San Ramon, which started off. DunderCon started off as a Dungeons and Dragons convention in the '70s, but kind of morphed into this a little bit of everything convention. So I played a lot of board games over the years at DunderCon, card games, things like that, and it kind of resparked the board gaming side of my childhood. So it kind of evolved from there. My brother and I had all of those two-player games. Yeah, um, I played a lot of two-player games as a kid. Um, trying to think of some stuff offhand. Uh, the '80s were weird with board gaming because you had a lot of different games. Especially, I mean, you had It from the Pit, which was a board game that required uh, batteries and it spun and it was mechanical. You had Shrieks and Creeks, which is a game that came with a audio cassette tape, and you had to actually play it on a tape recorder to actually play the game. So they had a lot of weird mechanics in the '80s, which I think is something that's lacking today. Did you ever see a game called Out of Control? When I was 10 years old, that was my favorite game. I unfortunately have never played Out of Control. I've heard of it, but I've never played it. Um, yeah, there's a lot of those games that just I didn't have as a kid. Like I said, I had Shrieks and Creeks. Um, I had Sinking to the Titanic as a kid, which is a crazily weird game. um, and I did an episode on it here. It got banned because Titanic survivors and their families didn't like the theming on it and sued them, and they had to change the name to Abandoned Ship. But yeah, I had Sinking to the Titanic. My parents picked up at a garage sale when I was a kid. Um, I played Gettysburg from Avalon Hill. I played Submarine from Avalon Hill as a kid. Um, I think what else I played. Squad Leader, I played as a kid. One of the games I still have here back here is right there. I have a copy of Wizard's Quest uh, from the '80s, which I played the heck out of that when I was a kid. 80s and '90s had a lot of motorized games. Yeah, it's motorized games were weird. They always had this weird aspect to them. They come up with these weird games. You had motorized games. You had like the Omega Virus, where the game talked to you. Um, the '70s came out with what was it? The Curse of the Mummy and Seance, which ran on teeny little records. they came out with some really weird games. Yeah, Seance is actually on my holy grail list because I think a copy of that where the record is still intact. I think it's like $1,000 online now. Um, which that's a game I want to pick up eventually if I can find a copy that's actually priced in the atmosphere. So I'm always a fan of old games. They're different. They're novel. It's not the same thing, like all of the Euro games that have little blocks and meeples. I hate meeples. The games don't have great artwork. They have generalized, stylized artwork. Um, they don't have something that draws you in. Like Fireball Island. Fireball Island had skeletons on the beach, a crashed ship. They had snakes, jungles. They had all kinds of weird little things painted onto the board. So even the board was you could spend 10 minutes staring at it, and it always was. You'd find different things on it that were kind of neat, and they just don't do that stuff anymore. Um, a lot of those mechanical games, I think, they're different. They're kind of like that out of the box thinking. Like Hit from the Pit, it's a game that just spins and spins and spins, and you have to keep moving to dodge the hands that mechanically grab you. Like I said, Shrieks and Creeks was a game that ran on audio cassettes. And then the 80s, they had that giant series of VCR board games, which I have, as you can see behind me, I have the Star Trek Next Generation Klingon Challenge VCR board game, which is a great game. I had the VHS tape converted over to a DVD. Yeah, Voice of the Mummy. Yeah, Voice of the Mummy is a great game. I wish I had a copy of it, but again, it's like I said, it runs on those little teeny records. It's a pain to find. Um, there's a lot of those games I really wish I had. So, and I'm always looking to try to find, even if I can't get a copy of it, I'm looking for someone that has it. So then that way I can just sit down and play it. Because some of those games I just want to sit down and play. Like Seance, I'd love to sit down and just play Seance. I'd love to sit down and play some of those. DunderCon, when I go to, there was one year I had a guy that came from Israel, and he had a whole bunch of board games from Germany that I'd never heard of. And we played those, and he had to sit there and translate all the rules from German to English so that way we could play them. I think one of them was like Civilization or something. Um, I play tested a lot of games there. Second edition Fury of Dracula I played there, which I had to go buy a copy of that game. Mansions of Madness I played from my buddy's house, which I got sucked into that, and I started playing that. Um, I'm always a fan of a lot of those weird off the wall games, especially that came out of like LS Low, that came out of the Schuler games. Um, Milton Bradley had some interesting games, but a lot of them were more mainstream, especially and Parker Brothers kind of the same way. Um, Transogram games, like I said, I'd love to find more Transogram games. I love Ideal games. Ideal are just kind of like out of the park, like weird. I bought a copy of Combat. That was my dad's favorite TV show was Combat, so I bought this infantry combat game, which is an Ideal game. Which, it was interesting. I took that with me one year to DunderCon. A buddy of mine were playing that at like 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'm always a big fan of playing obscure, older based games. One of the first games I did on the channel, which actually I have a playthrough coming soon, is the uh, Parker Brothers World Flag Game of the United Nations, which is from 1961. So it's kind of like a learning game. So you get to learn all the different countries, but unfortunately nowadays half of those flags are not what they are. So I think Ideal is unfortunately forgotten. Kind of like Avalon Hill is slowly like a lot of their good stuff is being forgotten because I'm not a fan of Hasbro. Never have been. Hasbro, if they like something, they just go buy it and then just never reprint it, which I think is horrible for the board gaming industry because there's some really good games out there that I think that need some love and attention. Uh, and then you have Goliath that's reprinting some of those games, and unfortunately, that they're making their own take on those games, which is not the same. It's not what I grew up with. It's not a. It's they go really weird. You have to take selfie pictures with your camera while you're running around and doing different things. I'm not a fan of it. But like I said, I'm a fan of Ideal. I'm a fan of Old Milton Bradley. I'm a fan of old Avalon Hill, 60s, 70s Avalon Hill, because I think some of those games were fantastically put together. I'm looking forward to sitting down and actually playing Africa Core. Um, I always have a good time playing Shetland, playing Battle of the Bulge. Those are fun. The 3M games were good. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of those as a kid. I remember I had a copy of Jump Pit. Jump Pit was an interesting game, but 3M, some of their games got sucked in. I don't know, I think Avalon Hill bought some of them. Because I remember doing a lot of reading on 3M. They had the Running for President game. They had a bunch of different games, and uh, they're hard to get a hold of. And I'm looking forward to actually sitting down and trying to play some of them. But I did play Jump Pin as a kid, so um, I think like I said, I think they're a little underrated, especially nowadays. And like I said, most people don't remember that stuff. So yeah. Uh, like I said, I'm bringing solo games out probably next summer. Looking forward to doing that. I'm actually getting a really neat table and some lighting, trying to expand that a little bit. Um, I have a friend of mine that is actually working on custom art. So I'm planning on dropping out some custom art T-shirts at some point. Um, so I encourage if you want a really interesting T-shirt. I know my friend's really into the game Guillotine, which I think is a fantastic game. So you're a rival guillotine operator and you're collecting heads of French nobility during the French Revolution. It's a kind of a point game where you have to fiddle with the lines, so you kind of strategically screw with people, which I think is a great game. But I have a friend of mine, like I said, they're doing custom art that I'm going to put on t-shirts and stuff for Guillotine, which if anybody's interested in that, the channel has a uh, print on demand T-shirt option. So I encourage you to check that out if you really want to. Any money that gets raised on this channel goes directly back into the channel. I know like ad revenue and stuff like that. That way I can get more equipment, tables, or update more, so that way I can try to get more content or just to put more time into the channel, because that's what I would love to do eventually, being able to put a lot into it. But I'm always on the hunt for newer games, or not newer games, but I'm on the hunt for games that I can bring to the channel, fit the weird, forgotten, obscure list to them, like the Transagram stuff, some of that stuff. So, um, but yeah, I always have a blast doing it. I'm gonna try to do more of these live stream Q&As, just because I want to reach out to more of the audience, see what they want, or if they have questions. Because sometimes I don't get right back to all of the comments that get left on the channel. I try to, but I do read every one of them, but I try to get back to them as quickly as I can. But it's a little more of an open format, which I'm going to try to do this a little more. Does anyone else have any other questions out there? While I'm waiting on that, let's see if there's anything else going on in here. Let's see. Anything else that I want to bring to you guys' attention? Um, oh, here's something. Well, thank you, Craig. I'm glad that you appreciate the channel. I'm glad my my hobby hard work, you know, is appreciated, and I do appreciate it. Game I picked up from DunderCon a couple of years ago. Uh, I think most people will remember Ion's Cosmic Encounter. I plan on doing a playthrough on Cosmic Encounter at some point, and I'm looking forward to this. I love this game. I know this game keeps getting reprinted. I love it. I like this edition better just because of the artwork on it. I know it's a little cheaper looking because of all of uh, the papery cardboard pieces, but yeah, I love this game, and I'm really looking forward to being able to play this on the channel. I'm hoping to do it live because I think Cosmic Encounter is a game that needs um, extra love and attention. And like I said, I'm a big fan of this game, and I'm always appreciative of it. So I'm looking forward to bringing this at some point to the channel. There's a lot of stuff. I want to bring more the Game Master series, Axis and Allies, Shogun, Fortress America. I'm looking forward to playing all those on the channel. I'm looking forward to going all over the rules on that. I know, like I said, I've mentioned this a couple of times, but I know one of the main reasons I created this channel was me going to conventions. Um, Someone would have this game and they couldn't play it, and they found it in they found it in their parents' attic or grandparents' attic or something like that, and they couldn't play a game. And I think that's horrible. And like I said, I just go through here and I want to make sure that every one of these games is playable. And if you're missing the rules, so what? You have the channel. You can play any game you want. And I'm a big fan of social interaction. I think it's something that society is severely lacking nowadays, and I'm a big fan of social interaction. So I think it's a not just a mental health thing of being able to sit down and talk to somebody and have a good time, and you make friendships this way. I've made friends sitting down and playing board games from people all over the world. Like I mentioned, uh, like I said, like I mentioned, no enemies here. I've had conversations with Dan. He lives outside of Ontario, Canada, and I would have never met him in person. And his channel started talking about my gaming channel, and he and I have actually had a couple of conversations, and I've had a great interaction with him. I've made some lasting friends playing games, and I think that more people need to do that. And I'm just glad to do it. You just found Fortress Simmer. Like you just found it in your house, or you just bought a copy of it? I also know they reprinted it. So is it a new copy or is it the original copy? With Saddam Hussein on the cover. So yeah, I'm a big fan of social interaction. I'm a big fan of sitting down and doing fun, sitting down and learning a new game. I love doing it. My friends, they'll unfortunately I inflict some of the Milton Bradley stuff from the Sitsies on them, which are not fun games. Not all of them. Um, they play through those, and then they'll go and inflict something on me. Like I had a buddy of mine. He picked up. He got me to play Mansions of Madness. Let's see, Fantasy Flight's Wreckage, which is a car demolition game where you have to get gasoline and destroy it. You can soup up your car with like rocket boosters or machine guns and demolition derby or other people's cars. Um, I've my buddy Steven, I sat down and played Dust. I'd never played Dust before. He had a several massive armies of Dust figures, and I know he plays a lot of Warhammer 40K, which I've never played 40K, and I'm always looking for new gaming experiences. I always enjoy sitting down and playing that stuff. And original copy at a thrift store for $8. $8 is a good price. I think that game is the original copy. I think it's worth like $50. So it's a pain to find. I know, like I said, they reprinted it in a smaller box, but I think the Game Master game from the '80s is a better version. So that's a good find, Craig. Uh, yeah, Fortress America is a good game. I know their entire Game Master series, Fortress America, Axis and Allies, Conquest and the Empire, Shogun, they're all multiplayer games. They're really good copies. But like I said, if you want the Broadside and Boarding Parties, is the Game Master 2-player game that killed their Game Master series because it didn't sell very well. Uh, so I would recommend trying to find a copy of that one because it has a boatload of figures and ships and great. And, oh yeah, it's complete. Yeah, that's even better. I hate finding. I bought a copy of Shogun from a gaming flea market at DunderCon several years ago, and it was missing a whole bunch of pieces. Like it was missing foam trays. It took me like 2 years to complete Shogun. Yeah, I had to get foam trays for the pieces. I was missing a couple of the. I was missing a ninja. I was missing a couple of random pieces, and it took me forever to get it back together. But eventually I did. But finding a complete copy, yeah, that's you're already on top of most games right there. Most stuff you find at a thrift store is missing 10, 15 pieces, missing the dice. I bought a copy of what was it, Word Yahtzee, that was actually missing the timer, so I had to go find the timer. I bought a copy of Showdown Yahtzee that was missing the dice cup, so I had to go find the dice cup. Which that dice cup, I bought the game in Sacramento from a thrift store, and I had to order that dice cup from a lady that lived in Fairbanks, Alaska, to just get the dice cup. And yeah, it's game parts are a pain sometimes, and yeah, you're lucky you found a complete copy. That's not normal. So yeah, but any other questions out there or comments or uh, a topic anyone would like to bring up on gaming? Because like I said, I'm open to anything, and I plan on streaming for a little while. So give everybody an opportunity to put something out there if they want to. But yeah, like I said, I plan on bringing a lot to the channel. Um, I'm a big fan of some of the social deduction games. Um, I got a copy of Secret Hitler. I think Secret Hitler is a phenomenal social deduction game. Uh, I picked up. I have a copy of Hail Hydra, which is kind of the new Marvel one, where you have to figure out who the Hydra agents are, who the Shield agents are. So it's very social deduction. Um, I'm a big fan of Donner Dinner Party, which That game cracks me up all the time. It's a game about uh, people that are pioneers, people that are cannibals from the Donner Party that got stuck up in the hills, and you have to last so many turns, but you have to go find food. But people can sabotage that, and if people do, and you don't have enough food, then you have to pick which player you're eating. You're trying to figure out who the pioneer and the cannibals are, because if the cannibals eat enough of the pioneers, the cannibals win. The turn counter is a frying pan. It's a crazy, crazy game, but it's every time I play it at a game convention, like I'll go and run it so I can get a free entrance to a convention. I always have a full table playing. I met the docent of Sutter's Fort in Sacramento. He actually came to one of those gaming conventions, and because of sitting down and playing that game, he actually got the California gift shop, Sutter's Fort, to actually start carrying Donner Dinner Party as a game for um, their tourist gift shop for the California National Park Service, which I thought was great. And they actually gave me an award for actually presenting this game to them. Uh, I have nothing to do with the game. I started playing it, presenting it, and he asked me to play it with some other people from their committee, and I played it with them, and they loved it, and yeah, they thought it was great. So I actually got I have an award token coin from Sutter's Fort for Donner Dinner Party for the state of California, which I thought was fun. Um, I have all kinds of I have weird gaming stories I could go through. I could mention a few of those. So I went. DunderCon was in the San Ramon Marriott Hotel from 2004 up until 2019, right before the pandemic. They were changing hotels, so they had a game free table. So if anyone wanted to get rid of something, they could just donate it to the table, and then someone else could buy and pick it up. And so it was a table of just free stuff. I picked up a copy of Advanced Civilization from Avalon Hill off that table. Had pieces in it from regular Civilization and 20 rubles. I don't know why. So I found Russian money in there. I had a guy that one night decided to just clear out his gaming collection of stuff he didn't want. So he dropped down like 40 board games on the table. I scooped up Firefly the game. I scooped up Shadows over Camelot. I picked up some weird, some zombie expansions. I picked up the guy had promo cards from all the little Flux games. He just started throwing a bunch of random stuff on the table. So I was just scooping stuff up and adding it to my game archive, which I don't know. It was just weird. I had people drop gaming books on there. I had people drop all kinds of random stuff on there. Um, so yeah, I've played a lot of games over the years. There, a lot of random stuff. I played a lot of Fury and Dracula at those conventions. I played the Warcraft board game. Played, what else did I play? Twilight Imperium. I played some of that there. Uh, my favorite game on earth, which I always play and every time I go there, is Supremacy Games from the early 90s. I picked up that there. It cost me almost $300 for the main game and all the expansions because they've been out of print since like 91 or 92. But it's like I tell people that sit down and want to play this game, it's like Risk on crack because you have main battle tanks, you have nuclear weapons, you have uh, hurricanes that come in and wipe out your stuff, you have an economic stock market that you can abuse, you have naval forces. boomer submarines, third world dictators, pirates, arms. You can be an arms dealer for like the third world. Uh, Killer satellites, neutron bombs, uh, chemical gas warfare. You can get into all kinds of crazy stuff in this game. So it's the basically the ultimate uh, version of Risk you will ever play. Um, so I played a lot of Supremacy. Um, and the crazy thing about that game is playing Supremacy. If you drop too many nuclear weapons in the game, then everybody loses because the world goes into nuclear winter. So then you're trying to blow up stuff, but you're trying to be very selective of what you're doing. But then you have other players that also have nukes. So sometimes you have to be like the third world police force, selling anti-nuclear weapon missiles to shoot down nukes from weird, crazy people. So it's a good time. It's a good time. So but yeah, I'm always a good fan of older board games. So, but I just wish some of them were a little more accessible, like especially some of the Avalon Hill stuff. I really wish that some of that stuff would get reprinted, or at the very least, I really wish that Hasbro uh, would reissue copies of the General because those minis are a pain to find, and they always have really neat sub scenarios in them. And I would love to sit down and play. There's a couple of them I'm still looking for because I need it for Kingmaker, Panzer Leader, and Conquistador. But oh yeah, Craig, I love Supremacy. Supremacy is a great game, and most people don't remember it. And let's see, I had a couple of Supremacy stories. I had a friend of mine that introduced me to it that made a deal with me to give me a whole boatload of money by selling oil on the stock market. So I did it. In exchange, I had to help him out whenever he needed. So I took all of the oil. And then after a little while, another player started invading him and he asked for my help. And I conveniently forgot that he had helped me and let him get nuked off the table. Another time, I naval blockaded him into. He played as China, and I was playing Africa, I think, and I naval blockaded him in, so he couldn't do anything. So I basically knuckled him under with military naval forces. I had enough gasoline in that game. I actually airdropped enough guys from Africa and took over South America. So I was able to sit there and just airdrop guys ridiculously across the board. Yeah, that game you can play. You can play as North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Russia, China, and then they have the expansion, so you can play as Australia and Canada. So you can do a lot in this game. So, but yeah, Supremacy. Actually, you can see if you look on the right here, there, and they're right all. I have a bunch of expansions on the Supremacy board right here. So they have merchant marines, they have colonial military forces. The only things I'm missing out of those is they come out with a set of main battle tanks and boomers, the boomer submarines for third world dictators and pirates, and they came out in these blister packs in the early '90s. And yeah, I'm not paying $500 for a blister pack of 10 minis that are all exactly the same. I'm currently trying to figure out if I can get them 3D printed. It'll come out way cheaper. But that's the only part I'm missing out of it. They came out with a giant battle map that was the side of a card table. Yeah, it's a fantastic game. If you actually look at if you don't look on my channel, look at the shorts videos that I have at the bottom. You actually can see a setup for Supremacy. I sit down with some of my friends and play it, so you can get a glance at Supremacy. Um, but yeah, the rule book is massively long. It actually there's an actual book that comes out with it where you can actually print out alliance paperwork. You can print out nuclear arms treaties in there. You can print out military proliferation or deproliferation treaties. You can print out all kinds of crazy things out of this book and make your games very, very realistic. So, but yeah, if you haven't played Supremacy, I'd recommend playing it. You need people for it because you need at least four people. It's at least four people and 8 hours of playtime because that's just the base game. That's not counting the other like 12 expansions that this game has. So it's worth it, but it's crazy. Uh, but yeah, like I said, I'm a fan of older games, out of print, weird, and I always have a good time going to gaming conventions. And like I said, I'm going to TrueCon this year, so I will be bringing some video put-togethers from TrueCon. So, but let's see if there's. Oh yeah, I have another game I want to show you guys. Let's take a look here. This is a game I'm looking forward to sitting down and playing at some point, which is Mattel's Dark World. Dark World is kind of like the Dungeons and Dragons game that came out in like the 80s, early 90s. It's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons meets Man, but it has all of these walls and castles and cards and little minis and everything that come with it. So I'm looking forward to sitting here and playing this at some point. And then it has let's see, it has a chaos, a mace of chaos, so it changes your turn order every time. And yeah, it has multiple levels to it. It has doorways, and yeah, I'm looking forward to sitting there playing Dark World sometime. And like I said, this came out of Mattel, so there's a lot of those weird, interesting games from the 80s and 90s, which I think people have forgotten about. But I'm looking forward to sitting there playing through those at some point. So. Anyone else have any questions at all? Comments? Anything they'd like to talk about? Looks pretty quiet out there. So let's see. Is there anything else that I wanted to discuss? Yeah, I don't really have much else. Like I said, I picked up a bunch of games from LA. I've picked up a lot of some of the newer stuff, bringing solo games of summer, Halloween, especially on Horrified and Mansions of Madness and some stuff like that, which are in addition to the videos I've already put out. I have reviewing how to play is coming out every Sunday. Playthroughs every Monday. Unboxings every Tuesday. I have a schedule going right now. I think I have a every week, 3 videos will drop all the way to Christmas. So I think with one or two minor exceptions. But yeah, I got a full schedule coming. I've already started scheduling for next year a little bit. Um, there are a lot of games that have hit the game request lists. A lot of them I don't have. So I'm in the process of trying to find those games so that way I can actually bring the requests forward. But any game that ever gets requested, I'm looking for. Uh, with okay, I'll bring this topic up. With one exception, I had a person probably a week ago ask me to do a review and play on Sambo. If anyone of you knows what Sambo is, you'll understand where I'm coming from. Sambo is a game that is uh, not in good taste nowadays. It's one of those 20s, 30s games that is a little on the racial stereotypical games, and I'm not really comfortable doing that stuff because I'm trying to make sure that this channel stays inclusive. I do talk about banned board games a list, and I have mentioned a couple of games that are a little on the racial fence line, but I try to do it in such a way that's very educational because that's not where I'm coming from. So there are a lot of games I have stayed away from specifically on that. So I try to take requests seriously, but I very well might ignore. Uh, I might ignore Stanley. I have a board for that. Yeah, um, I'm not sure what I want to do for that. I've got a request on it, and I'm not sure I really want to do that request. Because, like I said, there's a bunch of those games that are a little on the. There's a couple of games I've been hesitant to even to bring up. There's a really heavily banned board game that I haven't talked about, and the reason why I haven't talked about it is not only is it banned, it's not printed. A lot of them didn't survive, but they are there are a few copies that are held by historical archives and Holocaust museums that I've stayed away from because their work has been or this game has been classified as the epitome of evil in board gaming. So I've been trying to stay away from stuff like that. There's enough cheerier, happier topics that I would like to talk about. Like Battleship or the $6 Million Man or um, some of the Avalon Hill stuff or Cosmic Encounter. I'd like to talk about that stuff. Stuff that's a little happier, good gaming experience. I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, especially with me bringing up a board game that was made from a time where sensitivity is not where it should be. So, like I said, I try to stay away from stuff. So, I wasn't thrilled when I saw that request. I've been I've been thinking about it, and I might just throw it back burner and just leave it back there for a while. So, yeah. So, like I said, I've been trying to do more and trying to keep it positive, and that's where I'd like to keep the channel in a positive place. So I don't like digging up negativity. Um, there's a little bit of negativity on the channel, like the banned board game of the serial killer board game, which, for the record, um, I put that video together. I narrated that video. I released that video, and I won't rewatch it. The topic of it still creeps me out. Um, And then it didn't help that the town I live in California, uh, we actually had a serial killer roaming around, and he killed 6 people before he got arrested. So yeah, that made me a little apprehensive. So I'm not thrilled by that. So I try to stay away from topics. So, um, like I said, I try to keep it positive. But anyone else have any questions, comments, thoughts, anything they'd like to talk about? Still kind of quiet out there. So I might just end the live stream here. Um, but like I said, so the highlights are I got a lot more stuff coming. Solo plays. There are a massive pile of content coming out every week, so at least 3 episodes a week, with a few minor exceptions. And we're starting to work on next year. I do take requests seriously, but uh, try to keep them positive. You know, there's certain games that I'm just not going to touch because they're way out there, and I don't want. Um, I picked up a lot of more board games, especially from Los Angeles and several thrift stores in the area. So I've added multiple games. If there's a game that I haven't done yet and you would like to see, I encourage you to check out my board game profile. It is on the channel. You can actually link to it on the top there, and it lists every board game that I currently have. So if there's something on there that you'd like to see, I can get that relatively easily versus me having to go out and buy something. Some of those games get pricey. Like when I bought Bombshell cost me almost $80. That's for sure. Mr. Reed cost me like $40. So, you know, I try to get games, but um, I got to be reasonable about it because unfortunately I have uh, other expenses other than gaming that I have to deal with. And then on top of that, again, I want to congratulate Craig for winning the Facade contest. And like I said, send me your contact information, and I will make sure that Travis at Facade sends you a copy of Tortuga. So I'm glad I was able to bring this uh, contest to the channel. I do plan on doing several other contests in the future. Um, whenever I kind of work that out, I know I'm going to try to work with Dan over on No Enemies Here a little bit more. So I do encourage you to check out No Enemies Here. He does put out a video. I think it's like every Friday or every Saturday. So they're about an hour long. He covers a lot of different material, multiple different gaming channels, covers a lot of different topics. He does interviews with people in the board gaming community, especially from like EMT or Compass Games. So I'd recommend taking a look at his channel. Like I said, Little Wars TV, I'm a fan of that, so I recommend taking a look at that. And until next time, everyone have a great gaming day. And again, Craig, thanks for watching. See you next time.